Hey, I am Michael Sweet, and I'm here with American Musical Supply. My musical history began when I was 5 years old. So I grew up in a family of musicians. My dad and my mom were managed by Mike Curb, and they were singers and songwriters. My dad had a band when he was growing up. He looked like Elvis, and he started teaching me how to play guitar when I was 5 years old. I learned on a jumbo 12-string Gibson, if you can imagine that. I've just always had music in my DNA, and it's part of me. And I've been doing it professionally since I was 20 years old. My first success came, I would say, when I was 20, I signed a recording contract with the band, Stryper, with a company called Enigma Records. And Stryper was the first quote-unquote Christian band that they ever worked with. And we released the first album, Stryper album, called Yellow and Black Attack when I was 21 years old. It seemed to some people like it was an overnight success, but we had been trying to break out and get a record deal ever since I was, 15 years old. And it paid off, At the age of 20, we submitted a demo and they loved it, and we wound up, the rest is history, as they say, I guess. My musical drive and my creative side, like any musician, you go through phases, hot and cold, on and off, good and bad. When I moved here in '95 with my family, I basically put all my equipment in a closet and I worked for the family business. I've gone through those valleys where I thought like, man, music's done, and it's very frustrating, very emotional. I'm one of those personalities that just never gives up. I'm a fighter, and I don't care what comes my way. Lord willing, I'm gonna rise above it and move on. Onward and upward is one of my sayings I always post online, and I try to live by that. It's very important for me to work with local musicians or upcoming musicians that I hear about that I perform with. I love to showcase those people. I just love working with different musicians, and I've discovered that over the past 10 years, really. It makes me feel like a proud dad, listening and watching these guys, girls on my album, or working with them in the studio on a project of theirs. It's an incredible feeling. Biggest challenges for Stryper, it's trying to make everything work at our level. With Stryper, we really got to work hard to make people aware of the fact that we're a band, we're still together, we're still touring, we're still doing it. So that's the biggest challenge to overcome. But you know what? We figured out a way to make it work. It's very important to us to make new music. A lot of bands don't want to do that nowadays because they feel that it's not worth it. Because we live in an age where you make an album and people download one song. It's still very important to us to make albums and release albums. And we do that, I do that every year. Between Stryper, solo, Sweet and Lynch, and whatever other project I'm working on. And I think that keeps the fans' interest alive and keeps the excitement level really high. I've been a Bose guy for years, buying Bose products for years, and everybody knows how incredibly well Bose products sound and are made. And regarding the F1 tops and subs, the first time that I actually experienced those was at a venue called Ace of Spades in Sacramento. We were playing, we walked in, and we saw that they had a Bose front of house system, and they had Bose F1s on each side of the stage. Because of their size, I don't know if you can see the F1 behind me, because of their size, we're used to bigger's better, right? And we always walk in and we see these giant side fills on the stage or flown or what have you. And we saw these, and I thought, oh gosh, I hope those are gonna cut it. And then when we fired them up and ran my guitar direct through them and brought the fader up, I was absolutely floored. And what impressed me the most was the headroom and the clarity, but also the EQ curve on them, because everything was left flat. It impressed me so much that we bought our own. The F1s, in terms of problem solving, they solve many problems. First one and most important is consistency. When you're traveling as a band like Stryper, we're on a bus pulling a trailer with our own backline, but not our own monitors, not our own front of house. With these, we drop them, plug them in, bring the faders up, we're ready to go. It took our sound checks from, an hour and a half or two, once we started actually checking music, to about 15 minutes. They're lightweight, they're compact. It just makes our lives so much easier. I first met with Washburn and connected with Washburn, I'm gonna say about 4 years ago. I always wanted to get with the company that had the same level of belief in what I do as I did in them, because it's a two-way street, right? It should be. So I heard a lot of great things about Washburn. I wound up having lunch with Gil, and I was really, really impressed with Gil. I just thought, wow, he's just a regular guy. He's got a passion for what he does, and I could sense that he had a passion for what I did, and we really hit it off. And I wound up signing an agreement with Washburn, an exclusive, and they offered to eventually build me a signature model. And when they built it for me, the first one, which was a custom shop Solar V, I got it and I played it and I couldn't believe what I was seeing or holding or hearing or playing. I couldn't believe the quality of work. And I felt like I finally found a company that not only built amazing guitars for me, but also had a vision for me and a passion for what I do. And the rest is history. The past 4 years, they've released 2 Michael Sweet models, which was the Solar V and the Priestess. And now they offer an import model, and they're going to be releasing some more signature models as well, an acoustic guitar and a few other models at Winter NAMM. And I'm floored and humbled and very blessed by it, The design of the guitar of the Michael Sweet V is an exact replica of my original Jackson Rhodes. Wound up playing that for a while, and my brother, who was the guy that made everything yellow and black, Robert. And he'd start taping, and he'd put yellow and black tape over the guitars and create the design, and then he'd varnish over that. And back in the day, we didn't care. We didn't think like, gosh, he's ruining that guitar. That being said, the design of the Michael Sweet Washburn V is identical to the job that Robert did on my first Rhodes Jackson. And I'm proud to have it on a Washburn guitar, and it's very cool. And so is Robert as well. Robert sees it and looks at it and says, gosh, that brings back memories. And he really designed it. He designed that graphic, that style. I've been using Floyd Rose systems my entire life. I love how once it's locked, and I can get through the whole set without having to retune. And there's been no turning back for me. I mean, I have PRSs and I have Gibsons that don't have Floyd Rose systems on them, but when it comes to Stryper and touring, I've got to have a Floyd. I do have all my Floyd systems, including on these guitars, the Washburn guitars, upgraded by Adam at Floyd Upgrades, FU. And he puts the big brass blocks on those for me and changes out the parts. I'm certainly a Floyd guy. There's no doubt about it. It's part of my sound. When I first got my first Washburn guitar that they made for me, it really took no getting used to. Everything is designed specific to my needs. So the neck is actually designed, not a lot of people know this, but the neck specs are similar to that of a PRS Custom 24. The frets are medium jumbo. I'm not a jumbo kind of guy. They're too tall. I don't like my fingers getting hung up on the frets. And the first guitar that I got, the minute I plugged it in, I loved, they're very light, very thin, but you would never guess that when you hear them. When you plug in and you hit that chord through a loud Marshall or a boogie, sounds beautiful. What really saved the day regarding the import is its affordability to everybody. The custom shop is in the $3,500 plus range, right? That's a lot of money. You get what you pay for. I mean, it's a phenomenal guitar and it's worth every penny, but it's a lot of money for the average buyer. The import is $999. What's really incredible about the import is in that price range of just under $1,000, it feels every bit as nice, which is amazing, as the US. It's different, it's a little heavier, okay? So it's not quite as light. You have your differences, like the front is got the yellow and black, but the back is all black. But man, I have an import and I play it all the time and I love it. They took their time getting it right. You know, they wanted to make sure that everything looked right and everything felt right about the guitar. Even though it's an import and it's made overseas, it feels like a US quality guitar. It's one of the highest quality import electric guitars that I've ever seen. And I'm proud to have my name on it. I really am. I'm very happy to say that Washburn built me a Michael Sweet acoustic guitar. The world has not seen it yet. But I can say this, I believe they're going to unveil it at Winter NAMM 2020. And I tell you, man, I don't know how they did it. And you have to see it to believe it. Because the quality of wood, the way this thing looks, sounds, feels, plays, will blow your mind. And the price point is mind-blowing as well. I'm one of those guys that wants it all. Because I do, not only am I a strummer, but I'll get a loop going and then I solo over that. I have to be able to access the upper register, the higher frets, and then I have to be able to solo easily on it. So it's got to feel great up and down the neck. It's got to look good too. I'm all about the way it looks. Washburn, again, kind of met all my needs with the Michael Sweet acoustic guitar that's coming out soon. Michael Sweet and Stryper, oh my gosh, we have, you know, as long as we stay healthy and we have that drive to continue doing music, there's no end in sight. There really isn't. I'm 56 years old, so I mean, I could see us going, you know, for another 20 years if we're here on Earth and still breathing and still living. There's no question in my mind. Now the question is, do we want to be doing it at 76 years old? That remains to be seen. But I love music. This is what I've done my whole life. That love and that desire has never gone away, never dried up. So I pray to God that it doesn't ever, and I hope to be around for many more years to come. I am Michael Sweet of Stryper, and I would love for you to check out the gear that I play and use at AmericanMusical.com.